Well, hello and welcome to my channel, Mary Bourne ND. I'm a traditional naturopath. I love sharing natural remedies with people. And today we're going to talk about fat. You know, it's gotten a bad rap. There, there are good fats and there are bad fats. And many people have the wrong impression because years and years ago, back in the 1930s, so we're talking almost a century ago, maybe even a century ago, people started using fats, well, because of industry. Okay, so they started changing the way they created recipes, the way they ate fats, because they were given, I feel, some very bad advice. And it has shown up in a long-standing history now of heart disease and cancer. They took good fats and demonized them. Lard, butter, we were told these were horrible fats. They caused heart disease. So this presentation is all about helping you to see and question whether that information was correct and whether you want to continue doing things like margarine and Crisco and soybean oil and corn oil if you want to continue using them in your diet. So let's begin. If I can get my presentation going. There we go. So we love our fats. You know, my sister and I are doing a couple of days of Christmas cooking, Christmas baking, and a lot of the recipes that we're using are from like Betty Crocker cookbooks, and these cookbooks based their information on industry. Industry wanted you to buy Crisco and margarine. They did not want you to use butter and lard in your recipes. We all know the best pie crust in the world is made with lard. So they really did a lot. They encouraged cookbooks to create recipes, and you felt, okay, I had to use corn oil because that's what it said, or I have to use margarine because that's what the recipe says. But the fact is that it was industry that drove that and not our health professionals. So let's dive into why we think that living off the fat of the land is still a good idea. So the body needs fat. We know that the right kind of fats, whoops, let me go back. The right kind of fats are necessary for good health. Our brain needs good fat. Look at what happened with the rise of dementia and Alzheimer's once we followed the directions of no fat or low fat diets, skim milk, and all this bad advice that we were given. Cell membranes need fat. If the cell doesn't have the right kind of fat to protect it, it's subject to things like cancer, things like autoimmune disease. So the brain is 50% fat by dry weight. Fat keeps the skin soft and supple. Instead of trying to slather on lotions, we need to do it from the inside out. We need to nurture the skin all the way through our bodies, not just the exterior that shows us how dry and cracked we are and how wrinkled we are. We need to plump with good fats. So chemical messengers are also made with fat. That includes steroidal hormones. Now, what are steroidal hormones? But if you are in pain, they will give you steroids. Your body can actually manufacture hormones that provide the same kind of pain relief. And we'll get on a little bit later and talk about how bad fats can actually create inflammation in the body. Now, prostaglandins, that's your estrogen, your testosterone, the different hormones that support your glandular system. Now, endocannabinoids, this is a new system within the last 20 years that science has discovered that actually creates balance and how important this balance is and the connection between the different organs and systems of the body. I have a whole video about the endocannabinoid system. If you are interested in looking for it, you can put it in the comments and I'll shoot you off the link. Now, the brain and heart work better when they burn fat. Now, this is starting to turn around. People are starting to recognize that they can be a healthier weight, they can be less pain, and their conditions seem to be minimized when they go on a keto-friendly diet. So keto-friendly is eating a majority of fats, eating lots of good fats. So we'll talk about good fats. We want to understand the fats of the body. Let's see if I can take me off there. So let's understand how good fats are, how the breakdown is. So here we have fatty acids is broken down into two different fats. We have saturated and we have unsaturated fats. Now, unsaturated can be broken down into monosaturated or polyunsaturated. Saturated fats are lauric acid, all of these different types of acid, but we'll understand that a little bit later because we have some diagrams that I want to go over. So we have 3, 6, and 9. And we'll understand that a little bit later. I have a chart that I can go over how that is identified. Under omega-6, we have linoleic acid, conjugated linoleic acid, and GLA, arachidonic acid. Under omega-3, we have linolenic. Now, that's different than linoleic. There's that NIC acid, which is EPA and DHA. So let's try and get into this. And if this science stuff, you can buzz through it if you want to. So triglycerides, now this is the indicator when you get a blood test, they're looking for not only cholesterol, well, they want to know what your triglyceride level is. And fats and oils are composed of triglycerides. These are 3 fatty acids, so tri meaning 3, and they're attached to a molecule of glycerin, which is a sugar. When you eat fats, the brain breaks the fatty acids and glycerin apart. It's the type of fatty acids within these triglycerides that determine how the fats work in the body. So if you're eating food that gives you triglycerides, but the body isn't able to break those triglycerides apart, you store them. Now, we don't want to store fat. So here are chains of fatty acids. And this is called the saturation chain, okay? Saturated fatty acids. So you see how they're connected? Each molecule of carbon is capable of holding on to 2 hydrogen. So one on the top and one on the bottom of carbon. When all the carbon molecules are holding on to 2 of these hydrogen atoms, the fatty acid is said to be saturated. Now, we were told saturated fats are really bad. Okay, hold that thought because you may change your mind shortly. Now, let's go down here to, you see this double bond right here. There is no hydrogen attached to that double bond, okay? So it's missing that. If one or more pairs of carbons are missing hydrogen atoms forming a double bond with each other, the fatty acid is called unsaturated. Okay. So now we have monosaturated and polyunsaturated. So if there is only one pair of carbons with a double bond, the fatty acid is monounsaturated. Okay. So there we have one section of this. If 2 or more carbon pairs are missing, hydrogens in missing hydrogens in the fatty acid, it's called many unsaturated. That's not hard. Okay, so saturation affects structure. Saturated fatty acids are straight, while most unsaturated fats bend at the points where a carbon part is missing. So you think of this as there's the missing one, and it can bend. So how many bends it makes determines how the structure looks. So the bend makes the fat more fluid, which is why polyunsaturated fats tend to be liquid at room temperature, whereas saturated fats tend to be solid at room temperature. So you look at butter, when you take it out of the refrigerator and you put it in room temperature, it gets more warm and liquefies. Whereas if it's in the refrigerator, it's pretty solid. So polyunsaturated fats help keep cell membranes pliable, while saturated fats make them stiffer. Now, this common sense, okay? Look at the structure. That's going to make your cell membrane stiffer, whereas this is going to make it more bendable, linoleic, and arachidonic. So the omega factor, we've all heard of the omega oils, right? The omega factor is determined by the position of the first hydrogen missing on an electron in the fatty acid chain. So here is the first position, second position, third position. This is an omega-3 linoleic acid. And down here below it, you can see it's the 6th position, and that's called omega-6, which is linoleic acid. Then we have at the 9th position, oleic acid, which basically comes from olive oil. In omega-6 fatty acids, it occurs at the 6th and then at the 9th. Now, they are called essential fatty acids because you must get these from your diet. Your body doesn't actually make that. However, they are needed in proper proportions to each other. Now, many researchers believe that a good ratio is anywhere from 1 to 4 or 1 to 7. Most Americans aren't even close to this ratio. They're consuming diets of anywhere between 1 in 20 to 1 in 60. So if you live on pizza and fried foods and regular old hamburgers, you're probably in this range of 1 in 60. So you are more subject to these hard cells than somebody who is eating a keto diet with good fats. Cis versus trans fats. So here's another factor. It's polyunsaturated fats that bend at the point where carbon atoms are missing. So we know that. There's the bend. And this is called a cis fatty acid. As you subject these fatty acids to heat, however, they can become trans fatty acids. In trans fatty acids, the hydrogens attach on opposite. Okay, so this one, let me get my marker here. This one is a good thing. This one is a bad thing. Okay, so the hydrogen molecules are not matching. They occur on the opposite sides. Trans fats are linked to increased risk for heart disease and other health problems. So the length, all right, the length of the fatty acid chain is important. Shorter chain saturated fatty acids are more easily burned for fuel and would want to burn fuel. We don't want to store it. Medium chain fatty acids found in coconut oil, palm oil, and even butter are beneficial for the body. They are not stored as body fat and encourage the body to burn fat. Medium chain fatty acids such as caprylic and lauric acid have many health benefits. Now that comes from coconut oil, but look where margarine is here. Oh my goodness, we were told margarine was really good. It is horrible. It's not even a food. Now, oils are mixtures. All the fats you eat are actually a mixture of various types of fats. So coconut oil is 92% saturated and 6% mono unsaturated and 2% poly unsaturated. Olive oil is considered a monosaturated fat because it is 15% saturated and 73% monounsaturated under the label of oleic acid. But here's the deal. When they make olive oil solid, they destroy the benefits of olive oil. So think about that the next time you grab something from the so-called dairy department that is made from olive oil. Safflower oil is a polyunsaturated fat because it is 10% saturated, 30% monounsaturated, 77% polyunsaturated. Okay, so we're done with the chemistry now. Yay! So here's a typical American diet here. Really, really bad. And now it probably helps you understand that it's no wonder why we have the health we have in our country. People are obese. They're having problems with diabetes. Let's go on and get further understanding here of why this is occurring. So polyunsaturated problems. Oxygen can attach to the places where the carbons are missing. So remember that chemistry thing. And that turns them rancid. Now, a lot of times you don't even smell that they're rancid, but your body knows that they're rancid and it cannot use the oil for health benefits. It can attach to the arteries, it stores it. So once oil has been removed from the seed or the nut, it becomes more fragile. So the longer the oil is sitting around, the worse it can be. Now, there are oil there are machines now available for the home use, which I've just heard about them, and it's a rather new thing. But you can take this machine and crush your own oils, your own seeds and nuts, and make your own oil fresh. And that would be an excellent thing. You do not want to heat seed and nut oils because that contributes to their not being as good for you. So to lengthen the shelf life, manufacture refined oils. And every time you process an oil, you're creating more difficulty for the body to break it down and use it for energy. Fresh oils pressed from nuts and seeds contain vitamins and minerals and other nutrients. So if you're interested in like making your own sunflower oil, maybe you have a lot of sunflowers and you have sunflower seeds and you'd like to make your own oil, you might look into um, uh, a machine or tool that actually can convert and create the oil, because these nutrients decrease in shelf life and they are sometimes removed from the oil in the processing because that's what makes them go bad. And of course, manufacturers want you to buy their oil and they want a long shelf life. So the end result of creating refined vegetable oils is a very shelf-stable oil product which can be heated to high temperatures without smoking. Anybody use oil to cook their turkeys this year? I can't believe the people that use corn oil and fry their turkeys. Turkey can, especially properly raised turkeys, can be a really good food, but oh my word, do not fry your turkey. Hydrogenation is the process of saturating fats by adding more hydrogen molecules into the fatty acid. So this is another bad thing that's happened. Some oils are only partially hydrogenated, so they remain liquid, but others are fully hydrogenated or saturated to become the solid fats, such as margarine and shortening. It's really bad. When I was growing up, they pushed this so heavily. You know, I can remember a stick of margarine that had a red dot of dye, and the margarine itself was white. It was like Crisco. And you massaged this red dye around to make it look like butter. Ugh. In either case, hydrogenation ruins essential fatty acids, causing trans fatty acids to form in their place. And we know that trans fat are not healthy. Deep frying foods, I mean, they taste great, but if you can fry them in lard, which can go to over 400 degrees without changing their benefits, it's so much better for you. So you can have your good foods, fried potatoes and stuff like fried chicken, but if you fry it with lard or even ghee, now ghee doesn't go as high a temperature as lard, but it's still very, very good. So these factors help explain why eating fried foods has been shown to increase the risk of obesity, heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. So look at the marbling in this fat. Now, we know that when animals are raised on grass, they have a different profile than those that are bred in these confinements. Also, many toxins accumulate in fat. You know, people used to eat liver all the time. Well, when you're eating an animal that's been horribly raised, that liver is not healthy for you. So the other factor is the pesticides and the chemicals given to fatten them up, the antibiotics to keep them so they don't show disease. Um, these CAFO raised animals are totally not healthy, and it encourages me to see more people looking into grass fed and grass finished animals. So, getting the good fats we need, let's talk about naturally fatty foods. The best sources of fat are natural foods. Plant sources of good fats include avocado nuts, walnuts, macadamia nuts, almonds, seeds like hemp and flax and chia. This is chia, and actually, it's delightful to add to smoothies. You can make a pudding out of them. There are wonderful recipes on the internet uh, to make good food with this. Animal sources include fatty fish and organic pasture raised eggs, dairy, poultry, and meats. Dairy cow. Now, if you are allergic to the protein or the casein in milk, A2 raw milk is one of the things that a lot of people can eat that can't eat or drink milk. So you might look into that. Unfortunately, finding raw milk in Michigan is really, really difficult. You have to cow share. It's something that we really should look into changing the laws in Michigan. In other states, you can easily go to a Whole Foods grocery store, not Whole Foods itself, but food uh, store that sells organic and get A2 raw milk right off the shelf. Now, organic grass-fed butter, I absolutely love Kerrygold butter. Yes, it's pricey, but it is healthy for me, and I don't take medication for heart disease. I look into using my diet to support my health. Here's the lard that I made. I rendered this from pork fat. I went to my local farmer's market. I talked to several different farmers. I found out who was raising their pigs, pasture raising their pigs, and I got some fat from them and I rendered it down. I'd never done it before. And it was so easy. I didn't realize how I used to spend $7, $8 for a container like this for leaf lard. And I made it myself. It was really fun. I was very proud of myself. So there are things you can do to support your health with the food you eat. Now, food should be your medicine. You should not have to go to the pharmacy and get all this medication. Let food be your medicine. So I'm going to get rid of my picture again. So we want to encourage better eating. Eggs from pasture organic. Find a farmer that raises chickens and sells eggs. Fish, wild caught salmon. You can get it in cans now. You can buy it. I buy mine from a place called Butcher Box, and it's wonderful wild caught salmon, easily priced relatively, I find inexpensive. I do my meat order every 3 months and I pay $169 and I will add on $20 every 6 months to get my salmon. You can get wild caught tuna. Now this is not something that you want to eat every day because we don't know what the um, heavy metal content of these. So, I mean, there's the good and the bad, but you don't want to be eating it on a daily basis. But what I feel comfortable at eating on a daily basis is the pasture raised meat and poultry. Cooking oils. Oils high in saturated fats are better for frying because they can withstand heat better. So that's why I use lard, I use butter, but I also use ghee. And we'll talk a little bit about ghee. But what you want to avoid. Oh, here are the other ones. Four of the best fats for cooking are ghee, lard, coconut oil, and grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil has a lot of vitamin E in it and therefore doesn't go rancid as fast as some liquid oils. These can be cooked at high temperatures. Lard, very high, so that's the one that can be cooked with the highest, and then ghee. Now, if you don't want to use just lard, you could add a little butter with it to give it some flavor. But avoid using soy, canola, cottonseed, and corn oil. It's better oil, or I forget what, heart healthy oil. Look at what the ingredients are. It's canola and cottonseed. It's really bad ingredients. I don't know how advertising can get away with the bad information that they're presenting. Now, olive oil can be used for quick cooking or slow cooking, but you don't want to fry in olive oil. And the higher temperatures actually start deteriorating the benefit of that oil. So clarified butter or ghee, which is taking the milk solids out of the butter, makes it more shelf stable, and it's better for cooking because the higher smoke point. Um, Clarifying butter also removes potential allergens. So if you are dairy free, oftentimes you can use ghee without any problem because it doesn't have those milk solids in it. Love, love ghee. Lard, fat from pastured pigs, can be one of the healthiest fats you can cook in. Easy to make in a slow cooker. Melt small cubes of the fat until liquid and then carefully pour off into a container using a strainer. You want to make sure that you don't get any particles of the fat or the meat in it. And you also want to make sure there's no steam. So you have to keep the container open until it is solid and cooled. Then you can close it up. It can be put in the refrigerator if you're concerned about any of the water content getting in it or you haven't removed all of the liquid. When you're putting it in a slow cooker and you cover it, putting a layer of towel underneath the cover will absorb any of the liquids that may form on the cover, and that will make sure that your fat doesn't get any water content in it. But it's a wonderful choice for cooking. Now, butter from pastured or grass-fed cows can actually be a healthy fat. We know that now. It contains higher amounts of omega-3. It tastes delicious. Oh my word. Butter is a good source of the fat-soluble vitamins like D3 and E, and grass-fed butter can also be a good source of K2. So this Kerrygold has I don't take a K2 supplement because I use a lot of butter. I use it daily. And although butter is high in saturated 70% fat, about 11% of that is the short chain fatty acid butyric acid, which has been shown to reduce inflammation in the digestive system. Now, when you're using bad fats, you have a higher incidence of inflammatory markers. Now, coconut oil is a very healthy fat. It is one of the best sources of medium chain triglycerides. You may have heard of MCT oil. It has been researched and been shown to be beneficial for brain health. So coconut oil is also good for, as it has high content of saturated fats, and it makes it more heat stable. Coconut oil first thing in the morning can curb appetite and help to stabilize blood sugar levels throughout the day. So some people will actually put coconut oil in their coffee. Coconut oil can also help brain function. We've seen this in many, many research papers now. It also can help with intestinal dysbiosis. So a lot of people who have problem, and I feel it's because it combats yeast. It is one of the caprylic acid in coconut oil actually can fight yeast. Never use oils high in polyunsaturated fats like flax, hemp, pumpkin, sesame, or walnut oil. For cooking, if you're going to use sesame oil or something like that, use it as a finishing. So in Asian food, sometimes it calls for sesame oil. Don't cook with it, but use it at the very end of the cooking process. These oils should be used in salads or other dishes that don't require heat. It is also good to refrigerate them as they go rancid more easily. Now you can make wonderful mayonnaise and creamy dressings with these fats. There are beautiful recipes out there for making your own mayonnaise with these oils. Olive oil, high quality extra virgin olive oil is one of the best oils. There's good grades of olive oil. If you don't like the flavor of it, and you're buying an oil that doesn't have much flavor, it's generally because it's been cut with something. So, you got to pick your battles sometimes. You can mix a little bit of olive oil with butter to help it not burn so easily. You need to look at what you're eating and judge whether or not this can work in your budget. Also take into the factor of, is your health worth it? So fatty acid supplements, I hope that if you have any questions that you'll put them in the comment section so that I can answer them. I'm trying to get me to go. There we go. So I take supplements. I take omega oil supplement every single day, morning and evening. I feel that they're very, very important. I've noticed I used to have cracking on my nose in the winter time, and my fingernails cracking in here. None of that. And I rarely use lotions. I will use them sometimes after you're peeling potatoes. It seems like it sucks all the moisture out of your hands. So I'll use a lotion then. But most of the time, I don't have to use that. Now, many people who are taking fish oil supplements notice that their inflammation levels will decrease. And that is because of the long chain omega-3 fats, the EPA and DHA. So you can also get these from the grass-fed or beef pasture-raised chickens where they're out scratching and pecking and not confined. You know, I know that those things are cheaper. We have we have to look at, my husband's grandmother used to say, the cheapest is the dearest in the end. And that means, if you compromise your health with cheap food, then you're going to get poor health. So I feel I would rather spend my money on good, healthy food than a doctor's office appointment. So it's, your priorities. You check out your priorities. So DHA is a long chain omega-3 fatty acid. It is the most abundant fatty acid in the brain, where it is essential for the myelin sheath repair and maintenance of good brain function. So if you have a condition where the myelin sheath is compromised, you might look into taking some DHA. It has been used to aid memory, ease mental illness, aid focus. There's another thing. We are rampant in memory problems and problems focusing, even our children. So I feel that DHA is a really good supplement for children for their developing brains. Do not give children skim milk. It's harmful for them. Try your best to take the good fats and give them good fats to eat. Butter. Everything's better with butter. So here's the other thing is that for eye health, it's really important. DHA is really important because it helps the eyes, the way the eyes perform. So BLA is this is the one that works with our reproductive system, and the synthesis of GLA may be inhibited by nutritional deficiencies and alcohol or tobacco use, overconsumption of these bad fats. So if you're having problems with your menstrual cycle, or you're maybe developing a lot of zits and acne things, and maybe even menopause, if you're having struggles with hot flashes and that. I took GLA when I was going through menopause, and I really felt it helped me. Check these out. A lot of, evening primrose is a very popular oil. It is really healthy for you. Borage, I love eating borage. It's a beautiful blue flower. Black currant, these are all oils that are in a product called Super GLA. And supplementation with oils high in GLA along with omega-3. You don't want to just remember the balance thing. You want to take GLA is 6, and you want to take omega-3 along with it. CLA, this is conjugated linoleic acid and belongs in the omega-6, another one where you could take it along with taking an omega-3 essential fatty acid, because CLA enhances the cell membrane's defense mechanism against attack by free radicals. So what are free radicals? I have a whole bunch of videos about free radicals, but to put it simply, you don't want free radicals. Free radicals form, the cell dies, now the cell is lying around and subject to bad cells using it as energy. So the other thing CLA does is it decreases abdominal fat, because it balances the adrenal hormones that make that belly fat. So stress is very helpful for stress. It enhances muscle development. It supports better insulin absorption, and it can lower cholesterol and triglycerides. So CLA is really a very beneficial oil, but it should not be your only oil. You should be taking an omega oil along with it. Now, MCT, it comes from coconut and palm. They're the beneficial parts of it is the caprylic acid. Caprylic acid is really good to support the body. It's really beneficial in ketogenic diets for support with neurological conditions, epilepsy, Alzheimer's, and autism. There's lots of studies showing this. I encourage you to do your own research, at least try to find good research these days of censorship. So fat soluble vitamins, we hear a lot about D3 and how it's important, but you can also get healthy D from, you guessed it, grass-fed butter. In Whole Foods, fats are combined by fat-soluble vitamins and other nutrients. These vitamins help prevent fats from oxidizing. It is oxidized fats that stick to the lining of the arteries and contribute to cardiovascular and neurological disorders. So it's also important to make sure that you're getting enough fat-soluble vitamins. And one of the ways you can do that, let food be your medicine. Oh, here's a word from our sponsor. These are the supplements I take: Super Omega 3 essential fatty acids, Super GLA, and food enzymes, because, if you are missing your gallbladder, you're going to have a challenge making use of healthy fats. So you need to take an enzyme with like high lipase, but especially bile salts. Bile salts is where it's going to break down those chains of fatty acids so that your body can use it and not store it. But don't be afraid of fat. I hope that this presentation was insightful. I hope that it was beneficial. I hope that you share it with other people, because we need to know the real truth about fats and how they're either contributing to bad health or contributing to good health. So that's it for now. I'm proud of you if you stuck with it the whole bit. I appreciate your attendance, and I thank you for viewing. And I look forward to seeing you in a future video. And here's Mary for the health of it.